I'm Daniel Doll-Steinberg. I'm from Virt-U and Blockchain Smokers. So Virt-U is an economic platform for virtual world gaming. So we've been through 3 iterations of computer gaming so far, all gaming but not gambling gaming, which is disk. So initially people put their product on disk, then they moved to download, and then after download you had free to play, which meant you in-app purchases, which was really spearheaded by Apple and the App Store. And each iteration has led to the previous model becoming extinct. I mean, you still have people in the spaces, but the company's changed. We're now moving to a new generation of gaming, which is virtual worlds, multiplayer games. The problem with the multiplayer games is they require tens of millions of users to monetize a platform, and it's very expensive to build an economic monetization platform for these products. So we're building a monetization platform for this generation of gaming. So similar to the platform of disk or download or the App Store, this will be a mechanism that all developers can plug into, and instead of requiring millions of users, they can operate on a much smaller number of users, be much more specific, because we take away all the pain and costs of developing. So we have a token. The token is used for registering assets within the game and within the world, and for building up assets within the world and transferring those assets within the world, but also offering services within the world. We see a world where, the current world is quite crowded. If you looked at the stats from yesterday, from I think it was Oxfam, 82% of the wealth went to 1% of the people. And and you've got people like Mark Zuckerberg trying to get 1 billion people into virtual worlds over the next few years. The reason he likes that is there's opportunity in those worlds. So what we're building is a mechanism for people to actually work in a virtual world. So in the future you might be a virtual world architect, or you might have an agency that's bought a lot of spaceships and you rent them out to people, and then you need insurance companies to insure those assets. If you start owning land and registering land in worlds, you then, because you own the land, you monetize it and you improve it. So that's what happened in Europe 1,000 years ago. People were able to own land, so they sort of specialized in farming, and then people created different industries. This platform we're building allows the same mechanisms to operate in the virtual world.
So it's not just games as we would understand them, it's the gamification of professions and skills.
It's the gamification of professions, because the virtual world and the games will be a new economy, and they will be areas where people spend a lot of time. If you look, there's a movie coming out by Steven Spielberg in March called Ready Player One, and it's all about people spending lots of time in virtual worlds and they use it as escapism from the real world, because it's a dystopian future. It's not so great. But the reason Mark Zuckerberg and people like that are interested in this is they see that the generation that's coming up can't get into professions because there's not enough space. They can't do what our great-grandparents did and explore the world or set up industries that didn't exist. It's just that opportunity is being reduced, and therefore if people are creating very lifelike worlds where people spend a lot of time, those worlds aren't like old games where if you want to build a house, you just say, I'm putting a house here. You have to find someone that can design a house, and it might be on a high density. You might like working and playing in high density worlds. Then you need someone that understands how to build a house in high density worlds.
So is it a platform that people come to you and they operate on the platform, or you farm it out and people use it for their own means to monetize?
Yes, so they use it for their own means. So if I'm a game developer, I can build a game for low digit millions, so 2-3 million. The problem is building a monetization engine for that is incredibly expensive, 10, 20, 30 times as much. We provide a plugin that allows a game developer to build their world, then plug into our platform, and that allows them to operate with their players and start registering assets. So every time players register assets, the game developer gets money for that. Every time they trade assets, every time they offer a service in it, and that's the way the game developer can operate. So you get, if 90, I didn't even know Spain had a game development industry, but last year 90 game developers went out of business in Spain. It's now a national crisis, and it's because more money is going into gaming than ever, but it's going into less and less players, which means the innovation in gaming is starting to reduce because you're not getting these small teams building cool games and building, which you had 20 years ago. That's why we evolved so fast in the gaming industry.